The cedar chest in Grandma's attic held 30 years of silence between my siblings and me. We just didn't know it yet. I found the quilt on a Tuesday afternoon when I was supposed to be cleaning out her house, 6 months after the funeral, and we'd finally run out of excuses to avoid it. I'm Sarah, 38, the oldest. Emma, my sister, is 35 and lives 20 minutes away but might as well live on Mars. Michael, our brother, is 32 and chose Dad's side in the divorce 20 years ago. We hadn't really talked in 3 years. The house still smelled like her. Lavender sachets and lemon furniture polish, old wood and memories. I'd volunteered to start in the attic, mainly because it meant I could work alone. Emma was downstairs in the kitchen, probably organizing spices alphabetically. Michael was in the garage with his clipboard, cataloging Grandpa's tools. The last time all 3 of us had been in this house together was 5 years ago, Grandma's 80th birthday. We'd managed to make it through dinner before Emma made a comment about my big city lifestyle. I shot back something about her playing it safe. Michael just got up and left, his signature move. Grandma had sat at the head of the table, watching her grandchildren pull apart like a drawing being torn in half. All she'd said was, "There's pie," as if her love was the only thing that could glue the pieces back together. Now we moved through the house like ghosts avoiding each other. Made sense. For years, we'd been like ghosts in each other's lives, always there in the background, never really present. The attic stairs creaked the same complaint they'd made when we were kids. Back then, we'd sneak up here to play dress-up in Grandma's old clothes. Now, dust motes danced in the afternoon light from the octagon window. Everything sat exactly where she'd left it, boxes labeled in her careful cursive, old furniture covered in sheets like sleeping giants. The cedar chest sat in the corner, the one Grandpa made for their wedding. I opened it expecting mothballs and maybe some old tablecloths. Instead, I found the quilt. The weight surprised me. Not heavy exactly, but solid, like it was holding more than just fabric and thread. The pattern was a tree. It sprawled across the entire surface with branches reaching in every direction. And on those branches, "Oh, Grandma," I whispered to the empty attic. Each leaf on the tree was made from a different piece of fabric. But these weren't random scraps. As I spread the quilt across the floor, I recognized them. There, a piece from my first-grade Halloween costume. I'd been a butterfly. Next to it, a square from Emma's soccer uniform, the one from the year she scored the winning goal. A strip of Michael's Boy Scout bandana was sewn into a branch near the trunk. But it wasn't just our childhood. The fabrics went back generations. A piece of what looked like military uniform, Great Uncle James from World War II. Delicate lace that might have been from Grandma's wedding dress. Bright yellow gingham from the kitchen curtains in their first house. Each piece had been carefully cut and placed. The stitches were tiny and perfect. This must have taken years. This wasn't a quilt. It was our family history you could touch. Every scrap a story, every stitch a connection. I traced my finger along one branch. There was my first day of school dress, red with tiny white flowers. Next to it, fabric from the curtains in our first apartment after Mom and Dad split. A scrap from my high school graduation gown bordered a piece from my marathon t-shirt. She'd saved my whole life in fabric. The way she'd arranged them took my breath away. The hard pieces weren't hidden. The black funeral dress sat right next to the bright yellow sundress from college graduation. Fabric from a hospital bracelet touched my wedding dress piece, from the marriage that lasted 18 months. She'd put the hard times right next to the celebrations, like she was saying, "This is all part of your story. All of it matters." I sat there on the dusty floor, running my hands over 38 years of life stitched into a tree. "Sarah, you okay up there?" Emma's voice drifted up from below, cautious, distant. "Yeah," I called back, but my voice cracked. You both should come see this." Silence. We'd been walking this house like a minefield. One real talk could set everything off. Finally, footsteps on the stairs. Emma appeared first, her hair in the same ponytail she'd worn since high school. Her face was carefully neutral. Michael followed with his clipboard. "What is it?" Emma asked. Then she saw the quilt spread across the floor. "Is that—" "Look closer," I said. I pointed to a small pink square near one of the upper branches. "Remember your dance recital costume? The one where you forgot the routine and just started making up your own moves?" A small smile touched her lips. Mom was so embarrassed, but Grandma said I had creative interpretation. Michael knelt down, his clipboard forgotten. His fingers found a piece of blue plaid. "My shirt from my first day of kindergarten," he said quietly. "I was so scared I threw up on the bus. Grandma had to come get me." "She saved it," Emma said, wonder in her voice. "She saved all of it." We spent the next hour on that attic floor, finding pieces of ourselves. My college sweatshirt, the one I wore when I called Grandma crying about failing chemistry. A piece of the tie Michael wore to his first job interview. The hem of the dress Emma wore on her first date. But it wasn't just happy memories. I found a black square from the dress Mom wore to their divorce hearing. Near it, yellow hospital bracelet fabric from when Emma's daughter was in the NICU. A fragment of the suit Michael wore to bankruptcy court. "Look at this," Emma whispered. She pointed to a section where several dark pieces clustered together. 2018. Our horrible year. Fabric from the tie Michael wore to his custody battle. A piece from the scarf I'd worn to divorce mediation. The purple dress Emma wore to her miscarriage follow-up. We sat there in silence, looking at our pain stitched into something beautiful. "She knew about all of it," Michael said, his voice rough. "Even the stuff we tried to hide." "She always knew," Emma replied. "Remember? She'd call right when you needed her, like she had a special sense for when our hearts were breaking." "She put it all in," I said. "The good and the bad, the whole story." Michael cleared his throat. "There's something else." He pointed to the center of the tree trunk. 3 squares of fabric formed a triangle. 3 different fabrics, but golden thread stitched them together like one piece. "That's from your baby blanket," Emma said to me. "The one with the ducks." "And that's from yours," I said, recognizing the pale green cotton. "The one Mom made." "Mine had trains," Michael said, touching the blue flannel. She kept them and put them at the heart of the tree." We sat in silence. 3 siblings in our 30s, suddenly seeing what Grandma had seen all along. We were connected at the roots, no matter how far our branches had grown apart. "Look at this," Emma said, pointing to the outer edges of the quilt. There were empty branches there, patches of plain muslin waiting to be filled. "She left room." "For our kids," Michael said. "For the stories that haven't happened yet." I thought about my daughter in Seattle, who'd only met her aunt and uncle a handful of times. Emma's twins, who didn't even know they had an Uncle Michael. His son from his failed marriage, who none of us had seen in years. "We've been idiots," I said. "Speak for yourself," Emma replied automatically, but there was no heat in it. "I've been stubborn." "I've been worse," Michael admitted. "I've been absent." The late afternoon sun slanted through the window, illuminating the quilt like stained glass. Every piece of fabric caught the light differently. Some faded, some bright, all beautiful in their own way. "She must have been working on this for years," Emma said, "collecting pieces, planning where they'd go." "Waiting for us to find it," Michael added. "Together." I touched a piece near the bottom, fabric from the shirt Grandma wore the last time I saw her, at Christmas 2 years ago. We'd all been there. The first time in 5 years, awkwardly making small talk and leaving as soon as politeness allowed. She'd hugged each of us goodbye like she was trying to press love into our bones. "Remember what she used to say?" Emma asked. "About family?" "Family is like a quilt," Michael quoted. "Each piece is different, but the thread holds it all together." "We forgot about the thread," I said. "We cut it," Emma corrected, her voice bitter. "We took scissors to it every time we chose pride over connection." So we sew it back, Michael said simply. Grandma left us the pattern. Emma reached over and took my hand. After a moment, she grabbed Michael's too. We sat there, connected, looking at the map of our family that Grandma had left us. Her hands were calloused from her garden, familiar in a way that made my chest tight. Michael's were softer than I expected, office hands, now, instead of the boy who built tree forts. "What do we do with it?" Michael asked. "We finish it," Emma said firmly. "We add to it. We fill in those empty spaces." "Together," I added. "That means—" Michael hesitated. "That means actually being together. Not just Christmas cards and Facebook likes." "I know," Emma said. "It means Sunday dinners and birthday parties and being there for the hard stuff too." "It means meeting my daughter," I said. "Really meeting her. Being aunts and uncles who show up." "It means I need to apologize," Michael said quietly. "To both of you, for choosing sides, for thinking I had to cut you out to keep Dad in." "We all have apologies to make," Emma said, "and stories to tell, and pieces to add to this quilt." The attic didn't feel dusty anymore. It felt sacred, like we were sitting in the middle of something holy that Grandma had created with patience and love, and probably more than a few tears. "I know how to quilt," Emma said suddenly. "Grandma taught me. I could teach you both." "I still can't sew a straight line," I warned. "Neither can I," Michael admitted. "But maybe that's okay. Look at this quilt. Not all the lines are straight, but it's perfect anyway." We carefully folded the quilt. Each of us held a corner, having to move together. It was awkward at first. We kept stepping on each other's feet, pulling in different directions. But eventually we found a rhythm. "Remember when we used to help her fold sheets?" Emma asked suddenly. "She'd make it into a game. We'd run under them while they billowed up like parachutes." "She'd sing that song," Michael added. "The one about the garden." "Inch by inch, row by row," I sang softly. We all hummed along, Grandma's voice somehow harmonizing with ours across time. Downstairs, we spread the quilt on Grandma's dining room table. The late afternoon light was warmer here. The quilt seemed to glow. Emma made coffee in Grandma's percolator, the one that gurgles. Michael found the cookie tin, store-bought, not her homemade snickerdoodles. "We should make her cookies," Emma said suddenly. "For next week. I have her recipe." "I remember helping her roll them in cinnamon sugar," I said. "My hands were so small I could only do one at a time." "She'd let us eat the dough," Michael added. "Even though Mom said we'd get sick." "We never did," Emma and I said together. We smiled at each other, the first real smile we'd shared in years. We sat around the table, the quilt between us like a map of where we'd been and where we might go. "I'm sorry," I said, because someone had to start. "For leaving, for making you feel like I was choosing my life over our family." "I'm sorry for resenting you for it," Emma replied, "and for being so rigid about everyone else's choices when I was afraid to make my own." "I'm sorry for disappearing," Michael said, "for thinking it was easier to have no family than to figure out how to have a complicated one." The apologies weren't magic. They didn't erase years of hurt feelings and missed moments, but they were thread, and we were finally picking up our needles. Emma's phone rang. Her husband, wondering where she was. Instead of making excuses to leave, she put him on speaker. "I'm with Sarah and Michael," she said, "at Grandma's. We found something amazing." The surprise in Tom's voice was obvious. "All three of you? In the same house? Together?" "Together," Emma confirmed. I could hear the smile in her voice. "And we're thinking, maybe you could bring the kids over. We found a storybook made of fabric and they need to see it." Michael was already texting his ex-wife, asking if maybe, possibly, their son could visit next weekend. I pulled out my phone to call Rachel, to tell her we'd be staying an extra few days, that there were people she needed to meet. As we waited for Emma's family to arrive, we walked through the house again, but together this time. The same rooms that had felt empty and sad that morning now felt full of possibility. We found more pieces of our history. Photo albums we'd never seen, letters Grandma had saved, recipes written in her careful hand. "She was documenting us," Michael said, holding up an envelope labeled Michael's first report card, all A's. Even when we weren't documenting each other. When Emma's twins burst through the door an hour later, the house came alive in a way it hadn't since Grandma died. They were 7, all energy and questions, and they'd never been in Grandma's house before, another casualty of our fractured family. "Is this where Mom grew up?" Lily asked, spinning in circles in the living room. "All of us did," Emma said, catching my eye. "Your Aunt Sarah and Uncle Michael, too." The kids looked at us with new interest, like we'd suddenly become real people instead of names they heard occasionally. We showed them the quilt, letting them find the pieces that belonged to their mom, their aunt, their uncle. Emma's husband, Tom, took photos as we pointed out each square, each story. The twins were fascinated by the idea that fabric could tell stories, that a quilt could be a book you could wrap around yourself. "Can we add to it?" Lucas asked. "Can we put our stories on there too?" "That's the plan," Michael said, ruffling the boys' hair with an ease that surprised us all. "But first, we need to learn how to quilt." "I have fabric," Lily announced, "from my dance costume, the one with the sparkles." "And my baseball uniform," Lucas added, "the one I hit my first home run in." "Perfect," Emma said, her eyes bright with tears. "Grandma would love that." Tom pulled me aside while the kids explored the house. "I haven't seen Emma this present in years," he said quietly. "Whatever that quilt is, it's magic." "Not magic," I corrected. "Just Grandma, knowing what we needed before we did." "Grandma's sewing room is still set up," Emma said when we gathered back in the dining room. "We could start this weekend." "I'll be here," I said, meaning it. "Rachel and I both will." "I can drive down from Chicago," Michael offered. "Maybe make it a monthly thing?" "Weekly," Emma countered. "We've got a lot of catching up to do." As the evening wore on, the house filled with the sounds it had been missing. Laughter, conversation, the chaos of children. We ordered pizza because nobody wanted to cook, and we ate it on Grandma's good china because she would have loved the absurdity of that. Tom entertained the kids while the 3 of us did the dishes, standing shoulder to shoulder at the sink where Grandma had taught us to wash up properly. "She knew," Emma said quietly. "She knew we'd find the quilt together, that we'd have to be in the same room to see it properly." "Sneaky," Michael said with admiration. "Very Grandma." "She was always playing the long game," I agreed. We decided that night that the quilt would travel, 3 months at each house so everyone could add their pieces, their stories. We'd meet monthly to work on it together, to teach our kids the stitches Grandma had taught us, or in my and Michael's case, to learn them for the first time. "What about Dad?" Michael asked as we dried the last plate. "He's part of the quilt, too." Emma and I exchanged glances. Our father, who'd remarried and moved to Florida, who sent checks instead of visits, who was easier to be angry at than to understand. "One step at a time," I said. "But yes, eventually, the quilt has room for everyone." "Even the complicated parts," Emma added. "Maybe especially those." Before we left that night, we stood together in Grandma's bedroom. The quilt was laid out on her bed, looking like it belonged there. In the lamplight, all the different fabrics seemed to glow, each piece distinct but part of the whole. "Thank you," Emma said, and I knew she wasn't talking to us. "For keeping the pieces," Michael added. "For showing us the thread," I finished. We stood there, 3 siblings who'd found our way back to each other through fabric and patience, and a grandmother's faith that love could wait as long as it needed to. The quilt would travel with Emma first. She had the sewing machine, the knowledge, the steady hands. But we'd all be there next Saturday and the Saturday after that, adding our pieces, learning the stitches, telling the stories we'd kept to ourselves for too long. As I drove back to my hotel, I thought about calling Rachel to tell her everything. But some stories are better shown than told. Next week, I'd bring her to the house, introduce her properly to her family, let her see the quilt that had her place already waiting. The radio played something soft and forgettable. I wasn't really listening. I was thinking about thread. How something so thin could be so strong. How it could hold together pieces that seemed too different to ever fit. I was thinking about Grandma's hands, patient and sure, creating something beautiful out of scraps and faith. I was thinking about next Saturday, and the Saturday after that, and all the Saturdays to come. The quilt would grow stitch by stitch, story by story, and so would we. Because Grandma was right, of course. Family is like a quilt. Each piece is different, each one necessary. And if you're very lucky, someone who loves you will save all the pieces until you're ready to see how they fit together. We'd been ready all along. We just needed Grandma to show us the pattern. The thread was never broken. It was waiting for us to pick it up.